Hello there. It's the afternoon of 10/10, October 10th, 2024, and I haven't done a garden walk in a few weeks, so I thought I would do one. This will probably be relatively short because there's not that much to see, not much to harvest. Things are really winding down for the season, and it's been dry, and I didn't harvest a lot this year. We can sort of see how things are looking. The fall colors are just barely starting. They're not really getting going yet. Hopefully I can avoid shooting into the sunlight. I had one quince on this Aromania. Maybe I picked it off yesterday. Anyway, this was a bad year for this thing. A lot of things have lost their leaves early because of the drought. We've been pretty dry for the last 2.5 months. Had a little bit of rain before my last video, which was nice, but now it's been dry again. So yeah, some things are looking pretty burned up. Still some greenery around, not much in the way of flowers. You may see the odd straggler of New England aster that's escaped getting browsed by deer, but not very many of those around this year. Looking at videos from 2 years ago, I had so many of those things, and it's amazing how much damage deer can do in the course of a season or two. So as I'm walking here, every step I take, my foot is like sinking into the ground from stupid ass mole tunnels, which is another really annoying factor about gardening and dry sand. Moles can dig so easily everywhere, and they can dig like a mile a minute. So this pear tree's lost all of its leaves. That chestnut has its leaves still, but no burrs on that one this year. We had a frost last night, kind of a light frost. Let's see about this quince bush here. This is a Japanese quince. Yeah, there's a few fruits on there. Not too many. These smell really good. My mom has one of these ornamental quinces at her house, and they were falling off of the bush at her place, and so I gathered some up and brought them in the house for the scent factor. That one has got different coloration. Let's walk over here and see if this tall chestnut had some burrs this year, but I don't think they are. I don't think they got pollinated, because they have not most years. So if we look up, we can see there's some burrs. Some of them are open, but on the ground, I've not seen anything that looked viable. Just these sort of duds like that. So I might give this thing a little shake and see if anything comes down. I doubt it. Did it yesterday and nothing came down. No, nothing much. So this, normally this nannyberry bush would have some fruits on it, but it has no fruit this year. It all got stripped off for some reason. And the hazelnuts are long gone. I did not pick any hazelnuts this year other than the odd one or two here and there. I didn't do any kind of harvest. So I'm anticipating having a real big crop of hazelnut seedlings next year that the critters have planted for me everywhere. Why did I not harvest? I guess part laziness, part acknowledgement of gluttony in past years where I've harvested a lot of them and then they sat and got wasted. So I thought, well, let the animals have them. I know they'll probably use them better than I will. Nursery area, not much happening here. I gave a few plants away at the Michigan Nut Growers fall meeting, which was pretty awesome. That was over by Ann Arbor at Terry Calhoun's farm and mini disc golf course. Looking for berries here. I see a few late season blackberries. Not really choice quality, but at this time of the year, I guess you take whatever you can get. There's not much in the way of fruit. Apples have been done here for quite a while. Let's see. Don't want to shoot into the sun. I'm going to eat these berries. If I can cover up the lens flare. Well, these are not very good. So in this garden, it's like chaos. Chinese tune tree grew pretty well this year. The flame willow got pruned down to a little hedge by the deer. Take a look at my plants in the nursery bed over here. Had some decent currants and a couple elderberries, a few other odds and ends, mostly from cutting. And you can see some pretty plumes there of the pampas grass, aka Chinese silvergrass. Excuse me. These pecan trees here are doing quite well. These are grown in place from seed. I might have told people the story of these trees before, but right now they're probably 15 feet or taller, and some of them have pretty good trunk diameter. And I don't know how many years ago it was, probably 8 years ago at least, I planted some pecan seeds there to grow and then transplant out. Well, I grew them for a year, forgot to dig them in the fall, I didn't get a chance to, or something happened, so I left them. And they sat through the winter, and in the course of the winter, here's little quince fruits, tiny quince fruits in this. Rabbits ate the tops of the things off, and so there was no top growth. So I left them for a second summer. And then when I went to dig them that fall, they had taproots that were like a daikon radish, like the size of my forearm almost. So I dug a few out and moved them to the back field. And the ones I transplanted to the back field are about less than half the size of these that are still in situ here. So that's a good lesson, that if you can plant things in place, plant seeds, you'll get 10 times the growth that you will from transplanted trees in many cases. These are nanny berries. These are perfect for eating right now. This bush didn't lose all of its fruit like the other one did. I'm not sure why the other one did that, but yeah, all the fruit went missing a month or two ago. So yeah, some kind of uninspired fall colors here. Not really going to walk over and show any of that stuff. I'll walk over this way. The sugar maples in the distance there are not really coloring up too much, just a hint. Sumacs have been glowing for a little while and actually have lost some of their leaves. And all the wild black cherries have kind of lost their leaves. That's what that stuff is there. But yeah, it was like a zero harvest of grapes here. I think the local grape farmers had a poor harvest also for some reason. Not sure what accounts for that. This chestnut tree here did have 1 or 2 birds last year, and this year I didn't quite catch any of the nuts on it. It might have had 1 or 2 birds again. This winter I'm really going to do some thinning in this area to open up the canopy more for the chestnuts. We'll see what the deer rub on. That's going to start any minute now. I did have some chestnuts off of a seedling, a couple burrs maybe. They're about this size. This is probably 10 feet tall, 8 feet wide, maybe 1.5 to 2 inches at breast height. This is a prime deer rub candidate. I probably should move this thing up a little bit because that would be attractive. Yeah, you can see some sumacs coloring up here. The chestnut that had the couple burrs, I think it was that one right straight ahead there. That's a seedling of Allison's trees, and it was a pretty good sized nut. It wasn't enormous, but it was pretty nice. I was pleasantly surprised. So yeah, a little fall color here. Now, since we had a little frost, I'm guessing that these sumac leaves won't hang on for too much longer. And this year I had a bummer with my chinkapin chestnuts too. Actually, almost all my chestnuts. It was kind of a flop year, or I just wasn't out here every day, multiple times a day to collect them. But I think that squirrels have really gotten onto the program and multiplied out here, and probably deer too. So my timber chestnut here had a bunch of burrs. I got maybe like 6 or 10 nuts off the whole thing. I just wasn't coming out here enough to gather. I think, some animals steal them right off the tree or cut them down and then get them off the ground. So yeah, I missed out on that. This chestnut here, which I called Cajun because I let a cage stay on there for too long and the tree grew around the cage, unfortunately. That one had a few birds, but I wasn't around to collect any of the nuts this year. Didn't even see any of the nuts this year in person. And then these chinkapin chestnuts, I'm not sure if it's blue jays, squirrels, or what. They were getting all these things off the tree before the husks were even open. They must be prying them open. So I've basically missed 99% of the harvest here too. I probably, if I really wanted to have some, I should have cut the green husks off and then just let them dry down at home, and you know, let them open naturally in the house or something, because yeah, they got marauded by animals. And this chinkapin on this side, this has blight pretty well, and also they don't really catch each other for pollination that well. This one over here gets caught, gets pollinated nicely. This one doesn't seem to, and doesn't ever have very many pollinated nuts on it. Excuse me. So that's the story of these chinkapins. I'm going to plant out some more chinkapins, maybe this fall, hopefully, not wait till next spring, to fill out some of the landscape in areas where things have died, or there's just little spots that could be plugged in. There's a pecan that's got some leaf blight issues. I don't know if it's some insect attack or what was going on with these, but they looked pretty rough earlier in the season, and also deer eating them all the time. So yeah, the chestnuts were pretty much a bust this year, and the hazelnuts had a decent crop. I was not harvesting them. And I could go look at the Seguin chestnuts. I think those may still have a few on the trees, but I'm imagining the animals have gotten most of those too. So I'm not gonna, like I said, this is gonna be a pretty short video. Pawpaws are coloring up for the fall. It's turning kind of yellow. That's what that is. There's also some catalpas here, which also turn pretty yellowish at this time of year. So, but you can tell the difference of leaf shape. The catalpa has a really big, wide leaf, and the pawpaws have these narrow, droopy, kind of tropical leaves. Excuse me. So maybe I'll walk around this bend quickly, see if I can shield the sun out of the screen here. This paragraph, did it ever heal over? Probably not. No, it didn't. What a son of a bitch. Yeah, I cut the top off of it about 2 times to try to throttle down the growth because it was too excessive, but it didn't. Something crashing through the woods over there. Can't tell. Either a small deer, maybe a small deer. Didn't look like a big deer, but it sounded bigger than a rabbit. Chestnut there. It smells kind of good over here. Must be these cedars. And it's, speaking of good smells, have not had a lot of good smells here because of the drought. There's not been much in the way of petrichor smell, but the pine trees, these pines and cedars, I think I'm getting a little bit of a nice smell off of those, so that's welcome. Because actually the drought, petrichor, or whatever you want to call it, the scent of the soil in dry times is pretty funky. Over here, where we're going to the persimmon area here, it smelled like, I couldn't tell if it was a dead animal smell or some soil smell, but it wasn't real pleasant. So here, there is a Japanese hybrid walnut, and I've got some other Japanese walnuts that are still hanging onto their leaves pretty late. There's several in this area here. I'm not going to walk around and show them all, but I learned recently that the Japanese butternut hybrids, you can kind of tell how much of which parent they have, because the butternuts will lose their leaves much earlier than the Japanese walnuts. So right there is another Japanese walnut hybrid, and there's another one over here. But I do have some supposedly relatively pure butternuts growing. These sumacs look pretty right now. This is winged sumac. Don't know how well this will turn up on camera, but real gorgeous colors, lurid, kind of drooping down. But yeah, I have some supposedly kind of pure butternuts that are from a woman in the nut growers group who lives in Albion, Michigan, has been collecting them for years. And it's an old tree in a park somewhere, so in this area there's a few of those butternuts. And they do seem like they've lost their leaves early. Now they're small plants, quite small. We'll have to give them a few years to see what they amount to. My oaks, I did have a few acorns on a few of these oaks. Nice color gradient right now. Don't know if this bur oak had any. This by Munders, or whatever you want to call it. I think this one had a few acorns this year. And they were kind of a medium-sized acorn, a little bit long in shape. So the little blue stemgrass grew up pretty well here. Looks like a nice tinderbox. This stuff out here didn't really grow appreciably during the summer. These oaks, that's an oak, that's an oak. This is an oak that I planted, 12 or more years ago from Oikos. And this is one here. And they're kind of starting to take foot here and put on some growth, which I'm glad to see. Kind of been a long time waiting. That's an oak from Oikos. Little bird call action going on here. This apple here didn't have any fruit this year, unfortunately. So as we round the bend here toward the back of the property, you'll see the kind of grassland appearance that most of this property had. When I got it, it looked kind of like this with a little more knapweed and there's a little pretty bird there. Fly away, damn. More knapweed, more dewberries, but pretty much just a ocean of grass, dry grass. So as we come up here, this area is the persimmon area, persimmon patch, whatever you want to call it. And I've been relishing the few persimmons that I got this year. And unfortunately, I know that the deer took note probably yesterday. And they came and got a couple that were on deck. They would have been probably ripe yesterday or today. I think there's one remnant fruit on here that's not quite ripe yet. Yeah, I see it. Let me come around the way here. But yeah, I probably had a dozen persimmons, I'd say, between this tree and one other one. So not a huge harvest, but I'll take it. Look at that beauty there. So not really, damn it, come on, sunlight. Not really coloring up too well yet, but this one maybe in a week or so. I believe that's the last one on this tree. But persimmons are real attractive trees, beautiful leaves, nice thick dark green leaves in many cases, and then you get kind of a nice fall color, kind of a yellow. There's one there in the distance in front of that pine tree. You can see that one has got kind of a curl up looking leaves from the drought. But yeah, this area will have some nice fall color, I think, in 10 years or so, 5-10 years, when this stuff grows up more. So over here we've got some tree line here that belongs to Welch's. This area that's cleared, there's some hazelnut regrowth. My hedgerow here is not doing that great, but there are some nice little rose hips here from one of the native roses that I planted. So hopefully some birds will enjoy those. I'm gonna pick one here and see if these are very edible. I don't remember them being great in terms of rose hip edibility, but probably kind of on the dry side and real fibrous and prickly. But yeah, pretty dry, hard. But yeah, that's probably about all I've got to say for today. I might do another tour. Not real good. Sassafras kind of turning colors over there. They are one of the earlier things to turn. Those kind of orangey things. The autumn olive harvest is about finished. Yeah, most of the harvests are finished. There's very few little white weedy asters here and there rounding out the flowering season. Like that stuff right there. That little thing. Here's a late knapweed. And I mentioned in another video, I've kind of stopped my war on knapweed. It's not as big a deal as it used to be here. And it does flower for a long time. And I don't think it's negatively affecting the place that much, so I'm just gonna kind of leave it. And it can work it out with the other species. That rose hip that I ate, of course, it's like giving me some little slivery, prickly things in my lip. So yeah, that's not a recommended rose hip, at least at this stage in the season, in the year. Maybe after some hard freezes or something, it would soften up a little bit, like what do they call them? Oh, the Japanese rose. Why do I always forget the name? Multiflora rose. There we go. Those kind of get soft and aren't too bad. They're a little bit juicier than what I just ate. But yeah, we'll see what kind of winter we get. Hopefully it won't be too extreme. I've got some grafts that I did this year that I'm a little concerned about. Some Gumi onto autumn olive and a few chestnut cultivars. And I don't know if I grafted any pawpaws this year. I did graft some persimmons. That's something I'm really hoping will make it through the winter. They can be a little bit tender their first year. Here's a little Gumi grafted onto autumn olive, and then there's another one over here. There's a couple stems there and there. So those are looking okay for the moment. But yeah, thanks for watching, and if you're in the area, you'd be welcome to come and take a walk around, although it's not much to see at this point in the season. But yeah, look for maybe one more video in a week or 2 or 3 when the colors are going a little stronger. Otherwise, that's about all she wrote for this season. Thanks as always, and talk to you later. Bye.